See, the Jews are always associated with dry land. The nations are always the water.
Yeah.
So when the dry land opened up from Florida over to Texas,
The whole way?
I don't think it opened the whole way,
Oh, okay.
but it was,
The beach was expanded.
yeah.
I saw pictures of
And what happened was, and this it really isn't that uncommon, because of the force of the water and the wind, the ocean gets sucked out.
Yeah.
But it did something a little interesting this time. Because of the nature of the hurricane, it made a path point out into the ocean. And people found that very interesting, that it did it right in front of this Jewish community, to remind them of,
Like Moses
The
in the
parting
Red
of the
Sea.
Red Sea.
I'm calling you out,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, out of Egypt.
come out of her, my people. In fact, the whole verse in Revelation about come out of her, my people, is to Israel to come out of the system.
Yeah.
To come out of this system back. So a lot of eschatologists saw parallels in that he's calling them back, literally calling them back. And he said he would do that.
Are they seeing this?
Yeah, so I think some are. However,
You have to have faith.
according to the scripture,
You have to have
yeah, this is the whole thing. This is one of the things we're going to talk about tonight. It's not based on natural vision.
Right.
So even though they're seeing it,
Yeah.
they're actually seeing it. Doesn't mean they're believing it.
Yeah.
Because only the Spirit can give discernment. The natural man cannot come to the knowledge of these things.
Hmm.
But what he's doing is, he's doing what the bridegroom always does to the bride. He's sending little hints and mementos. Do you remember when we used to do this together?
Wow.
Do you remember when I brought you out of Egypt? In other words, he's just sending like little reminders.
Yeah.
Remember our first date when I brought you out? Remember this? Remember the blood moon at the Exodus? There's a blood moon up there. Remember these days? I'm trying to tell you. So really, these things aren't just pie in the sky. These are literally fulfillments of ancient prophecies that aren't just what someone thinks a flight of fancy or maybe some coincidence.
I
Yeah,
just
and,
thought that, you know, the Jews that aren't saved, it's like they're kind of operating a little bit like the Jews in the Old Testament.
Exactly.
And then God revealed himself to many of them, and they had revelations and, you know, unique ways of experiencing God. And I'm thinking that God is still, in a sense, in his mercy and grace, you know, having those specific Jews, you know, those that are, you know, that love God in with the knowledge they have, that he's revealing himself and those remas and revelations
Yes.
to them. And I just thought of that, like, I never, like, imagined, but, like,
Yeah.
you just
And,
caused me to
Joel
acknowledge
2:20.
that.
Yeah, Joel Rosenberg,
Yes.
people like that are
Yeah.
trying to say, look,
Yeah.
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 And by the way, when Columbus came and Ponce de Leon, and you mentioned that all the people in those ships were Jews, is because there were 4 blood moons in 1492,
Wow.
and then a persecution of Jews began in Spain, and that's why they were all pretty much just
And the 9th of Av.
yeah
It was
fleeing Spain because and that's why they all came and pretty much
but he made four trips, 4 journeys, and on the second one he left on September 23rd.
oh wow.
And when he left, he said, anybody that wants to come with me, I want to populate the new world. And thousands of Jews went with him.
Wow.
The original settlers of all these places, Dominica, Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, Cuba, I mean, all these places. Then even South America,
Venezuela
Venezuela.
Venezuela has a big
Huge.
population.
Argentina has a huge one.
Yeah. they-
Mexico City has one of the original Jewish populations in the New World in an area called TAMPICO. As a matter of fact, they make a lot of products in that town. And that's where one of the places where the earthquake happened.
Earthquake.
So when he said, I'm going to shake the heavens and the earth, he literally means he's going to do it.
Yeah, get out of
So
there.
these aren't just random events that are happening, and everybody says, oh, it's just a coincidence.
Yeah.
No. Wow. There's nothing coincidental.
Yeah. Now, a lot of Central Americans, South Americans, and even in America that are doing their DNA analysis, they're finding out they have Sephardic heritage. And virtually every South American country has some type of Sephardic Jews. Sephardic Jews would be Kingdom of Judah. Primarily, Judah and Benjamin would be the 2 tribes.
Yeah.
Israel's the other 10 tribes. Right? But the world that has the largest Jewish population in it would be this world right here. And by world, I would mean
Yes.
country.
Because of the covenant.
The covenant, right. And they felt safe here, and that's why they came here. And still Manhattan, LA has a huge, But what's interesting is God doesn't always look at sovereign boundaries the way man does. So when you saw that solar eclipse, which has to be from the king of Judah himself since he created the sun, he actually traced the ancient pattern of New Spain, where the kingdom of Judah was, in this country. Because Spain owned certain parts of this country. Britain owned parts, and France owned part, and Spain owned part. And the part that he traced with that sun is actually where Judah was. Below, that line and below.
Yes.
Right? And if you go to these ancient places, like you go to Washington or Oregon or California, those communities are still there. So that was clearly a sign to Judah and Israel. And then the solar eclipse actually touched Irma, was just a little tropical storm out in the ocean, and Maria. It actually touched them out there. The solar eclipse actually went over the storms. And what's interesting in Proverbs, it says that, you know, the heart of the king and the rivers of the ocean are parallel to each other, meaning the currents, our Gulf Stream, can get very warm and cause massive hurricanes. Or if it's cold, the hurricanes will die out and go out to sea. But what's interesting, this year it's very hot, which means the king's heart is hot. And who's the king? Jesus of Judah.
Yeah.
So his heart is hot for the bride, and the oceans are hot. And what he's trying to say in Proverbs 21:1 is, they're reflecting my heart. And I'm trying to tell you, I'm jealous for you, I want you to come back. He's going to call all things to an end. So these aren't just mere coincidences that are going on.
No way, yeah.
All significant.
Yeah, it's all significant.
Yeah.
So that pretty much covers. Any questions about any of that from last time?
This is kind of awesome. Like, there's 2/3, 1/3.
Choreographers talking, you know?
Oh, I'm sorry, I just want to say, let me know when you're going to start so I can.
Yeah, I'm going to start right now. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'm going to pause this.